Italy. David, so nice to see you.
Woohoo! It's good to be with you. And by the way, look, check this out. I got my special Money and Friends mug right here. Thank you. I appreciate you sending this all the way to Florence, Italy.
I love that it got there. So thumbs up to our amazing producer, Ashley, who got it to you. Yeah, we love to send our guest co-host swag. And we love that you're using it. So, and we know from your Instagram, which is David L. Bach, that you were having cappuccinos while bike riding the other day. How's life in Italy?
You know what? Life is really good personally and beautifully. Like I'm having the time of my life. I think if you looked at my Instagram page last week, you saw I was on a balloon, I was bike riding, and I was also sightseeing in Padua. With that being said, I also just put up a podcast, The David Bach Show, about what is happening with COVID here in Italy, because we are definitely seeing a second wave in Europe. So I did a podcast just a few days ago talking about this. And when I did the podcast, there were 7,000 daily cases, which for us is huge. It was the most cases we've actually ever had. And now we're seeing upwards of 10,000 cases a day. So it is a little nerve-wracking because we are starting to hear rumors about a quarantine again, and they're starting to have talking about regional lockdowns, which is what they did last time, because the hospitals are starting to get filled up again. So, I did this podcast to tell my friends about this again in the States, because you guys haven't even gotten done with your first wave. So, in Europe, we're seeing the second wave. And all I can tell you is we had cases down to nothing in Italy, like literally down to 100 cases a day in Italy. And then we all went back out and lived our lives normally and stopped wearing masks, and things have, it's spiked back up again. So we're all wearing masks now 24/7, not in my home, as you can see, but,
right.
As we cruise around Italy, we have to wear masks wherever we go now.
Well, and no, it's a big change. And I remember when this first happened, and it seemed so foreign to me because I remember watching your reports and talking to you and hearing that this was happening in Italy and thinking this would never happen here. And sure enough, everything has followed kind of on a 2-week lag. So I'm listening to you. I'm listening. And by the way, your podcast is good because it's like a mix of your life in Italy, and then you're still giving people the financial advice that you always give, which is great. So,
well, thank you.
All right. So for those of you just joining us, we're about to tape 2 episodes back to back. That'll be about 15 minutes of Money with Friends. These are episodes that are going to go out on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, while David will be vacationing, as if just living in Italy is not a vacation.
That is true.
So wait, the topics are, let me see if I can remember. We're going to be talking first about the fact that credit scores have actually gone up during the pandemic, which is fascinating. We're going to talk about why. And we also have a bunch of listener questions that people sent in on Instagram. If you are joining us live on social media, we're on a few different channels. You can leave your questions and comments too. We'll see how many we can get to. And then we're also going to be talking about financial advisors and when it's right to get a financial advisor. Some companies are actually having financial advisors as a workplace perk these days. So all good things. Okay. On that note, we are going to start. Let me just record the backup recording that we do. We do a backup recording to make sure that we have the audio here, and I will go back. All right. So this is the show for Tuesday. What is it, David? October 27th. Here we go. As if the economic impact of the pandemic couldn't get weirder, apparently the average FICO credit score just hit another record high. We have the man Money Magazine calls America's favorite financial expert, best-selling author David Bach here to explain what the heck is going on. It is Tuesday, October 27th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown-up kitchen in New York City.
And I am David Bach, coming to you from my very grown-up dining table in Florence, Italy. It's great to be with you, Bobbi.
Here on Money with Friends, we talk about the latest personal finance headlines, and we add in the insights and wisdom of our fantastic cast of thought leaders, including, oh gosh, how many bestsellers have you had, David? I'm losing track. 12?
10. It's 10. Easy. It's just 2 hands full. 10 New York Times bestsellers.
10 bestsellers. We're gonna mix in questions and comments from our money friends. We've got questions out on Instagram. We've got our live audience. Then we're gonna leave you with a takeaway to make it your own. David, welcome back. This is going to be your 3rd show show with us. We spoke to you a month ago. Give us a quick update. I know you finally launched Finish Rich.
We did. We launched finishrich.com, in fact, last week, which was super exciting because we had tens of thousands of people visit our website in just the first couple of days. So finishrich.com, we have created a site to help you get your questions about money answered quickly. So like, where does David think you should go to open up a brokerage account? Or where do you think I should go to look at insurance? Or do I need insurance? Or what should I do about my credit score? All the questions that I've been getting over the last 25 years, I decided to put up a new financial blog that would answer the questions and direct people on the best resources. So that's at finishrich.com. We've got a newsletter that goes out now every week and lots of great content. We just put up 2 new podcasts this week from the David Bach Show. So come check us out at finishrich.com because we have, believe it or not, Bobby, 60 new articles with over 110,000 words of content. And you're a writer and you have a blog. So, that was a lot of work to get that up.
It's a lot of work, and you really know how to take a sabbatical, David. Somehow all this stuff is coming out. I thought you were going on like a year-long break, and it's become a multi-year break. That's partially because of coronavirus, but partially because you love it there. But lots happening over there. I want to tap into something you mentioned, which is credit scores. Before we get to the piece that you are bringing to us to discuss, let's see which one of our friends is going to lead us into today's headline. All right. The piece that we are discussing, David, comes to us from CNBC. It is by Megan Leonhardt. The headline is "The average FICO credit score hit new record highs during the pandemic. Here's why." And the article talks about the fact that there's a lag factor going on. So also, people got a lot of financial help early in the pandemic. They got the government money, and then they also got payment relief. So if you had bills due, a lot of the time you didn't have to pay. Now, the money is still owed in theory, but like you didn't have to pay your credit card bills for a while. You got relief. So people had that. And then on the other hand, they just weren't spending as much. They weren't hitting that credit card because they were staying home. They weren't going out to big parties. They weren't dining out as much. They weren't going to Broadway shows here in New York City. We know that. So people had a lot less FOMO. They just hung out and maybe they had a Netflix bill, but they were staying home. What do you think about this, David? Were you
it's I shouldn't laugh about this, but it's funny because you said we weren't going here, we weren't going anywhere, right? For like 2 months.
Right.
The average
well,
person
Italy was really in a lockdown.
Yeah,
the US, it was a little more scattered.
So like when I went to pay my credit card bill in April, I almost like had to hit the computer to see if it was broken because there was nothing on the credit card. I was like, wait a minute, this can't be right. Well, it's because we didn't go anywhere. We literally only spent money on food. And a lot of people were like that. So here's I found this article fascinating. And I actually read multiple articles about, first of all, how much have credit scores increased? Because this is kind of interesting. So I went back and looked at the data. So in 2005, average high credit scores were 685 points. That was a FICO score, 2005. So today in 2021, as they talk about scores hitting an all-time high, they're at 711. So it's not that many points different. But what's worth knowing is that sometimes 20 to 30 points higher can be a huge difference when you go to borrow money. So when you go to get a mortgage, it could be the difference between 1/4 to 1/2 to 1%. And what's happened, and we can talk about why scores are up now, because there's no question that there was a coordinated government effort this time around. Like the last recession, the government was caught flat-footed, right? This time around, really the moment this all started to take place, the government put in place all kinds of stimulus packages, started sending checks. So that helped out the average American. Also forced companies to have forbearance plans so that they couldn't start hitting you if you weren't able to pay your bills. Credit card companies and mortgage companies were not allowed to turn around and slam you for it. So that protected consumers. And that was really smart because if you have tens of millions of Americans have their credit score go down by 50 to 100 points, it really creates a drain, if you will, on the economy and the ability of the economy to recover quickly. So what I would say is, while credit scores are a lagging indicator, Bobby, it's also really good news to see that credit scores are up right now versus down. And the other thing I think that's happening is that people are much smarter today about their credit scores. if you go back to 2005, credit scores, you would talk about a FICO score, and people were like, "What's FICO? Who's Fair Isaac? Who's this company? What do you mean you have all my information?" Today, most people are aware that their credit scores are really important. Now, I think a lot of people don't know what impacts their credit score and what they can do to improve it. So we should talk about that today for sure.
Yeah, actually. And we did ask our Instagram money friends for questions for you. And one of the questions from Sarah is, at what point are there diminishing returns for a higher score? In other words, there are certain things you can do to get your score higher. Maybe you can talk about that. And then at what point is it sort of, you're good enough?
Yeah, great question. So what happens when you go to borrow money is they pull your credit score. And what most lenders want to see is that you are in what they would call a good range. And a good range right now, according to Fair Isaac, is between 690 and 719. Call it 720. Once you get, and that's a good solid credit score. Once you get over 720, it can go from 720 all the way to 850. I know some people are obsessed with having a perfect credit score. I can tell you that really, once you get over 750, people are going to loan you money all day long, and they're going to loan it to you. They're going to loan it to you at the best rate. So really, your goal, I think, should be to get over 720. That's when, and then the difference between 750 or 780 or 800. Honestly, I don't think for most people it impacts things at all. It looks good, but I don't think it's going to change whether or not you can get a car loan, which I don't want you to go get, by the way, because I don't want you to borrow money to get a car. But the thing I always care the most about is when you go buy a home, I want you to get your best rate on your home loan, because that's the biggest expense you'll have over your lifetime. So it's important that you play the game and do the right things to get your score up prior to going to get a home loan or prior to refinancing.
Yeah, we have another question from Frugal City Finance asking, is it harmful to cancel new cards after travel/bonuses are met? Should you keep the old account active for a longer credit length?
Okay, so that's a really great question, and let's go through. I'll give a quick answer to it after I tell you what impacts your credit score. So there's really like 4 or 5 major things that impact your credit score, and the one that she's talking about is what is known. There's 2 things that happen when you close a card down. One of the things your credit score is based on is the length of time that you've had credit. So if you have a credit card that goes back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it's a very common thing for experts to say, don't close that card. You might not use it, but don't close that card because it looks good on your credit score. And that's true. Except what I would say today is a lot of people have taken out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 credit cards. And they took them out at one point, and they were free cards, and they took them out to get the 20,000 frequent flyer points, or the 30,000, or the 50,000, or even 100,000 frequent flyer points. And now those cards, the annual fees are coming up right now, and they're coming up, and those annual fees can be as high as $400 annually. So what I suggest you do, Bobby's eyes just popped up like, yeah, a lot of these cards are up to $400 annually, and nobody's traveling. So, I think it's a really good question. I'll just tell you what I did recently. I've been calling these credit card companies that I have, and I have been saying to them, because they're almost all travel cards, I want you to waive my annual fee. And if they won't waive my annual fee, then I'm like, well, then I want frequent flyer points. That's the only way I'm keeping the card, is if you give me frequent flyer points. I've had one of my cards, and I won't say which it is because I don't want everybody to start calling them and then they'll get all mad at me. But one of my credit cards gave me 50,000 points by asking. Another one of my credit cards, which I've had for over 10 years, would not do anything. And I canceled the card. And I canceled the card because at most, maybe my credit score is going to go down 5 to 10 points for a temporary period of time. And I was so mad at that credit card company for not, after 10 years, being willing to waive my fee for a year, that I'm like, see you later. I'm out of here. And so I have personally canceled a couple of my credit cards in the last 30 days because I'm not going to use frequent flyer points probably for another year. I'm also not sure how safe these airline frequent flyer points are going to be if things stay the way they are. And I don't want to pay annual fees for cards I'm not using. So that's what I'm doing.
What do you think about people that do this travel hacking? I mean, separate, I guess we're in this, hopefully shorter period of COVID where people aren't traveling. But I mean, is that a good technique? I always feel like it just seems like so much to keep track of. Is it really worth it? And then you're kind of, if you go by the popular mantra that, don't cancel the credit cards, you've got this drawer full of inactive credit cards. Let's assume they're not charging you annual fees. I mean, if it only hits your credit score 5 or 10 points, why not just cancel them? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they almost across the board within a year all charge annual fees. And the low end of annual fees is $90 a year. And the high end of annual fees is about 500. So you do have to ask yourself, am I earning enough points to make it up, right? Now, I'm somebody who normally travels a lot. So I love playing the travel credit card game. And over the years, I changed which ones I love more than others. Like right now, I love a card by Marriott Bonnevoy, but I'm not traveling. But Marriott Bonnevoy had this credit card that was 100,000 frequent flyer points. And I started traveling and exclusively using Marriott Bonnevoy because I wanted to keep building up those points and using them. I travel probably 2 to 3 weeks a year for free off frequent flyer points. So I do like the game of credit cards and frequent flyer points when you can travel. It may be, it's sad to say this, Bobby, but we may not really be traveling until 2022. If you listen to the travel industry and the heads of the major airlines and the hotels, they're now talking about 2 to 3 years before travel comes back. So,
wow.
I know,
I
know.
Oh, all right. Before we get to our takeaways, I want to just reveal the results of our Instagram poll. We asked our money friends on Instagram at Money Friends Pod if your credit score has changed during the pandemic. Was it up or down? What do you think our money friends said, David?
I think how they said went higher? Up. I'm going with up.
Correct. 74% up. So you win. Hold that thought. We're going to get to our takeaways in just a minute. But first, I want to talk to people about businesses and being organized. It's going to be a common theme this week on Money with Friends. If you're a business owner, I mean, look, things are really tough and it's really important to make things as easy as possible. One way you can do that is by upgrading to NetSuite. You can stop paying for all these different systems that are not going to give you the information that you need. Ditch the spreadsheets and all these old softwares that you've outgrown. Now you can upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. It is the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place instantaneously, whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of million in revenue. Save time and money with NetSuite. You can join over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they will benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/MWF. You can schedule a free product tour right now at netsuite.com/MWF. That is netsuite.com/MWF. All right, David, we're wrapping up now. What is your takeaway from our conversation about credit scores going higher during this pandemic?
Yeah, well, first of all, what I think the most important thing, and we didn't say it, Bobby, is go pull your credit score. Like most people only pull their credit scores at most once a year. If you haven't pulled your credit score since the pandemic, I go pull your credit report and I would pull your credit score to make sure, number one, they're accurate. Fastest way to fix your credit score and raise it is make sure there aren't any mistakes on it. Second, most important thing you can do to get your credit score up, and it's the biggest part of your credit score, is pay your bill on time. So 35% of your credit score is a result of paying your bill on time. The key to that, make sure you pay the minimum payment automatically. So your credit cards should be set up to be always the minimum payment is paid automatically. It's debited out of your account. Then go in and pay yourself extra because I don't want you to make minimum payments. But I don't ever want you to be late because it's being late that impacts your credit score more than anything else that you do. It's also what costs you the most amount of money because once you're late, they jack your interest rates up from 20 to 29%. And the interest rate on just one credit card bill can be more than the annual fee for the credit card all year long. And so that's where I would do. That's why I go to annualcreditreport.com, go pull your credit report, and then go get a copy of your credit score. Oh and also, gosh, by the way, all that information is on my website at finishrich.com. We've got articles and links.
You've been writing about this on Finish Rich. Hold that thought. I just want to add my 2 cents here. It's really important also in a practical sense to, beyond paying more on credit cards and all those kind of things, if you have a better credit score, you're going to get better rates when you do a refinancing on your mortgage or if you're buying a home. And also, it's a lot less stressful when you don't have debt. So it's a good thing. You can invest more and all that good stuff. David, Before we let you go, first of all, you're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about financial advisors, which is something you know a lot about. You give great financial advice, as you mentioned. You've got finishrich.com, so much free information right there.
Thank you. Yes. And also podcast, which I love doing now. We're doing a podcast every week. It's the David Bach Show. And we just launched 2 new shows. So you can find that on finishrich.com and also on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else. Come listen to the David Bach Show.
Absolutely. All right, David, we will see you back here tomorrow. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about financial advisors. If anyone wants to learn more about David beyond going to Finish Rich, you can check out his bio and those of all of our thought leaders on our main website, moneywithfriendspodcast.com. And please follow us at Money Friends Pod on Instagram and Twitter. David, you are David L. Bach on Instagram and author David Bach on Twitter. Did I get that right?
You did. You got that right. Yes.
All right. We'll see everyone tomorrow. David will be back. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for being here.
All right, let's move into show number 2. Quiet audience. We've got a bunch of people out there. You guys are really quiet. Feel free to jump in and ask David questions.
Come say
make
hi
comments about the topic. I know you guys are all sitting there quietly watching, but Jacqueline, thank you for saying hi. And so for the next show, we also do have a bunch of people that wrote in on Instagram with questions. So we'll get to those. But if you guys have live questions, that's cool too. All right, so this is a show for Wednesday, October 28th. Getting a financial advisor could be the latest benefit employers are using to recruit talent. We have best-selling author David Bach here to give us the scoop on a business he knows a whole lot about. It is Wednesday, October 28th. Let's talk money with our friends. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner Bobby Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown-up kitchen in New York City.
And I'm David Bach, coming to you from my very grown-up dining room table in Florence, Italy.
You are just too cool, David. All right. Here on Money with Friends, we talk about the latest personal finance headlines. We add in the insights and the wisdom of our fantastic cast of thought leaders, including David Bach. We mix in questions and comments from our money friends, both from our live audience and all over social media. And most of all, we leave you with a takeaway to make it your own. David Bach, welcome back.
Bobby, it's always good to see you. Thank you for having me on your show. By the way, everybody who's listening can't see me holding this up, but I'm holding up the Money with Friends. I guess it's a coffee mug you sent me all the way to
coffee mug. Yes.
Thank
it's not
you.
as fancy as those little Italian coffee mugs with all your cappuccinos there. By the way, in your Instagram, people should follow you there, by the way. It's David L. Bach. You do talk about how inexpensive the lattes, or was a cappuccino that you got there. It was like,
I know. I thought that would be cheap.
€1.50. I don't know.
No, a €1.50. That's $1.50. So,
so is it okay to get lattes if they're cheaper?
That's what was getting. Of course, everybody knows me as the Latte Factor guy, right? You know what's funny, Bobby? They translate my book's in Italy right now. I just got, and the Italian edition of the Latte Factor is called the Cappuccino Factor. So that was also part of me taking a picture with the cappuccino, because latte in Italian means milk. So if they call it the Latte Factor, people would think it's like, they wouldn't get it. They think people don't have lattes, by the way, in Italy. They have cappuccinos, but they have espressos, but they don't really have lattes. So anyway,
so is the latte like an American thing?
Well, Italy is the one place that didn't translate it as the Latte Factor. Anyway, it's a tangent.
Do Italians drink like lattes, like a cappuccino with
no,
milk?
They don't. They don't. They drink espressos, and it's again an espresso here is like $1 to $1.50. But it's funny, when I first got here, people said, well, the whole Latte Factor thing, it doesn't really apply in Italy. And I'm like, how many espressos do you have a day? And the average Italian then goes, well, I don't know, like 3 or 4 or 5, because people go to the little coffee shops and they have their espresso, and you stand and you have your espresso and you sit there and you talk to your friends, and you do that in the morning, and then you come back for the break, and then you come at lunch, and then you come in the afternoon, and then people have it in the evening. So, I mean, Starbucks came from Italy, right? Like the whole idea is Howard Schultz came over to Italy and saw what they were doing in Italy and brought the idea and the experience back to the US. Was my understanding of the story. So coffee is a big deal in Italy. Yes.
Very cool. All right, we're gonna shift gears because we could sit here. By the way, our live audience here, on it's a Facebook audience. We're also on YouTube and Twitter. They are gabbing now about coffee. We're taping this in the morning, so they're all talking about their coffee and waking up and getting that first cup. But they're at home, and I guess maybe it makes sense we sent you a mug because then you can have your lattes at home and save money. But
That's
I don't
right.
know. I mean, if you're in Italy, I feel like you got to have their coffee. I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. But anyway, we get the point. It's a metaphor, people. Let's see which one of our friends is going to lead us into the headline. All right. The article that you brought us, and by the way, David brought us yesterday's story and today's story. So again, working very hard while on this sabbatical in quotation marks. You're a very hardworking man when you take a vacation somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but it's from TechCrunch. It's by Jonathan Schreiber. And the headline is Investors Give Baltimore's Facet Wealth $25 million to sell businesses on financial planning as a benefit. And the company apparently raised $25 million in financing. It's readying a new business line pitching financial planning as an employment benefit to businesses looking to recruit top talent. Employment benefits packages are expanding apparently. So it's not just gym memberships and healthcare. Remember, like ping pong tables were a thing for a while or free beer or whatever. Now, they're doing other stuff. They're doing, rideshare services, Netflix. So why not financial wellness? And they've apparently attracted a bunch of heavy-handed backers. And then they're getting some early signups, pre-launch partnerships to get employees on the program, include companies like ClassPass, which I have used in the past. So it's getting a lot of buzz, David. What do you think?
It is. Facet Wealth is really getting a lot of attention. And in fact, they've raised over $60 million. So this was their latest round. This was their B round and it had some big investors come into it. And, what's the story here? And I think, the story is there are millions and millions of Americans, I'm talking tens of millions of Americans that really need financial planning. And financial planning, my belief is, and this is one of the reasons why I was attracted to this story and this company and this idea, financial planning shouldn't just be for the rich. It shouldn't just be the prosperous that become more prosperous. It shouldn't be those that are secure that just become more secure. Like financial security should actually be a part of the American dream. And it starts with financial education. And then from financial education, it's a financial plan. Unfortunately, until recently, financial planning has really been something that's been done for the wealthy and the retirees. Most people go meet with a financial planner when they're about to retire, which often, by the way, is too late. But the problem has been financial service companies have basically been designed to work with people who specifically have, Bobby, over $250,000 in investable assets. And that was the case across the board until I'd say 5 to 10 years ago. Technology is now bringing the barrier to entry to financial services down. You have companies like Robinhood that is, democratizing investing, and you have companies like Acorns that are making it available to everyone. But that's an investment solution. That's not a financial plan. And so what Facet Wealth is doing is they're bringing financial planning, what I would say, to the mass affluent. And I actually spoke to one of the founder, Anders Jones, yesterday. And I said, who is your target audience for this? Besides from the fact that it should be a corporate benefit. Because, what you just said is they raise money to bring this to corporations, which is genius, right? Because truthfully, when you go get a job, in addition to healthcare and maybe a gym membership, which many places give you, they should give you financial planning, because what happens is we know for a fact now that an employee who comes to work and has financial challenges at home, whatever they may be, they're in debt, they've got credit card debt, they've got student loans. If that employee comes to work and they are not able to focus because of their financial concerns, that employee is not engaged in the job the way they need to be. So if you bring financial planning at scale to your employees, it's a benefit that can hugely pay off, not just for the individual, but for the business itself. So right. I believe ultimately what you will see in 5 to 10 years is financial planning becomes very normal as a HR benefit. But I think I think what's needed right now is financial planning needs to become available to people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, not just to retirees. So Anders told me, the founder of Facet Wealth, that they see this market of being 33 million people. And it's called the mass affluence, people between $100,000 to $1 million in investable assets. That's a lot of people that, for the most part, are ignored by the financial service industry. The financial service industry may give them an investment solution, like, hey, come to us, click on a button, and we'll give you a robo-advisor solution, like a portfolio of ETFs, and that's great. But that's not a financial plan. So what Facet Wealth is doing is they're bringing financial planning, and the genius in Facet Wealth, and this is because they're a new company, they're a technology company, and really they started online, right? So they were doing financial planning online before COVID-19.
Right.
Whereas most financial service companies have never done anything online. And so now they've got over 120 employees, and they're able to do this at scale with all these CFPs doing the financial plans online with the customer. So I thought that's super interesting. It's exciting to see what can be done.
And it's interesting to see how interested people are in this. We asked our Instagram audience if financial planning were included as an employee benefit. Do you think you would take advantage of it? And the choices we gave them were totally, nah, I'm good. What do you think our money friends said?
Totally.
They did. 77% said totally. I do want to get to some questions. We had a lot of people asking questions for you. So let's get in some of our audience questions about this issue. My employer, this is from Kai Letty. My employer includes financial planning. They pitch the high fee commission options. So that's a tricky thing. What do you do? Especially, when people, the other thing I wanted to mention is very often people are given benefits, but they're not explained to them. They're told you have a 401k, or it's in the pamphlet, maybe the online pamphlet they may or may not read. And then there's a list of things you can choose, mutual funds, and you really have to dig deep to figure out what the costs are for each of these. And you may not really even know what you're picking. And these have huge consequences.
You just said this, Bobby, and we didn't discuss this show before we did the show. And I just got a stomach pain from that. And the reason I got the reason I got stomach pain from that is that what that person experienced, and I don't know if it was a 401k plan or an annuity provider, but what happens when companies come into and they pitch a 401k plan as example, the XYZ company comes to the other company and says, we're going to put your 401k plan in place. And what we'll do is we'll bring in our financial advisors to give free seminars and advice to the employees. Part of that is done for a self-serving reason. They need to get employees to use the 401k plan or use whatever's being proposed. And I want to see more people use the 401k plan. But the moment you tell me that someone's come internally into a company and has said they're doing a financial plan, and instead what they're doing is pitching a high commission investment product, what's happened is you've actually just met with a salesperson. And that is not a financial planner. So a financial planner should be a registered investment advisor. They should be a fiduciary.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to explain what a fiduciary is for people that don't know?
A fiduciary is somebody who, because of the way the registrations are, they're legally required to actually either one, be unbiased, and two, show you anything where there's a conflict of interest. They legally have to put your best interest first. So, the whole idea, in my opinion, all advisors should do that. There shouldn't have to be legislation for this issue. You should just always put the client first. You should always put the client's best interest first. So, going back to Facet Wealth for a second, what's interesting is what they're doing is they're going to employers and they're saying, look, we're unbiased. We don't have a 401k plan to sell. We don't we'll do the financial plan with no investment actual product. Now, they do actually have an RIA, because I was asking that question, and they do manage money, but they don't charge on the AUM side of the managed money. So where Facet Wealth makes money, if you go directly to them, is they charge a fee for the financial plan. And right now they charge somewhere between $600 to $6,000 annually for the financial plan. So it's important to say this stuff is not free. But it can be extremely valuable. And when you meet with a financial advisor, if the plan is free, where they don't charge you for the financial plan, well, then you just need to be super clear on, well, if you're doing the planning part for free, where do you make money? Right. And it's okay for a financial advisor to make money. This is not a nonprofit charity position, but you as a client should know what you're paying. Are you paying a fee on assets? Like we had somebody here in the chat just ask, should I be
Right.
paying an AUM fee? Are you paying a commission?
Right.
Are you paying fee only? There are a lot of ways to pay that financial advisor. So it all depends again on what are your needs, what's your level of wealth, but having absolute clarity around what it's costing you when you work with an advisor is critical. And the last thing I'll say, because I could literally talk about the importance of hiring a financial advisor for hours. I mean, I was raised in this business. I think most people should hire a financial advisor. And I think, getting somebody who is on your side in both good times and bad times is critical, because what a good financial advisor can do is, especially in times like what we've gone through this year, they
Mm-hmm.
can hold your hand when the markets go down.
Yeah, I
They
was going to
can
say, I mean, there were a lot of people that were ready to jump off the ledge in March. People were very scared. I was nervous. I talked to my financial advisor at the time, and it was good. It was good to have a human being there to speak with. I do want to get in a question because it goes to right what you're talking about now. And this is from our Instagram channel. It's Sarah the Mark. Sorry, I butchered your name. With there being pros and cons to AUM versus fee advisors, why isn't there a hybrid approach where you kind of get the best of both worlds, or is there?
There can be a hybrid approach, because often what happens, let's use when people say, what is, first of all, if you have no idea what these things even mean, what does AUM mean? AUM means assets under management. So let's say you came into my office and I was a financial advisor who charges a fee on AUM. I may charge you for the financial plan. Maybe you'll pay $600 to $1,000 for the financial plan, or $2,000, whatever that fee may be for the financial plan. Then let's say you have I'm going to use $200,000 as a round number. Let's say you have $200,000 and $100,000 of it goes into a diversified portfolio of exchange traded mutual funds, and there may be a fee for that of 1%. Now, the other $100,000, well, maybe it's in a money market account because it's your security money, or maybe you're going to buy some insurance. It all depends where all the money goes. People, they may charge a commission if they recommend the insurance, or they may not do the insurance work at all, believe it or not. A lot of financial planners only do the financial plan in the AUM business, and then they refer out the insurance. So I would actually tell you that most financial advisors actually are hybrid advisors often. They may say that they're fee only, but they actually are hybrid. Again, it kind of goes back to, what do you need? One of the reasons why I think Facet Wealth is interesting right now is I think a lot of people don't actually have enough money to do AUM, but they need a financial plan. So that's the person that, doesn't walk into Schwab or Vanguard or TD. They need somebody to go through, hey, I've got student loans, and I want to save for a home, and here's how much money I'm spending, and my wife and I are arguing over where we spend money. That's where the beginning stages of financial plan come in. Hey, I'm not sure how much money to put in my 401k plan. I've got 2 kids and I need to save for college. This goes back to why I think younger and younger people should be hiring financial planners. Waiting until you're 50 to get serious about money can often be too late. And certainly waiting until right before you're about to retire, which is when most people go meet with a financial advisor, is often too late. So I think sooner is better.
All right, we are almost out of time. I want to try to squeeze in one more question. Let's take one from our audience here. This is coming to us from YouTube. We tape this show on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter live. So we've got Sarah here. She said, when I graduated from college in 97, I had about $3,000 and I could not find a place to start investing. The minimum was $5,000. I ended up spending it all. Sarah, oh my goodness.
Oh, well, see, that's super sad, right? And now she graduated in 1997. I wish she had just turned around and bought like Amazon stock, because she'd probably have over $1 million now. But it's sad, but it's true that probably back then she had a hard time finding a place to invest that money, because places had minimums of like $5,000. Now, the weird thing is, I will tell you, back in 1997, I was opening up automatic investment plans for people just like her with $50 a month, where they were investing automatically. So I don't know who she met with, but you could invest as little as $50 a month automatically back in 1997. I know, because I was a financial advisor. Today, super easy. Today, you can go into any major brokerage firm or do it online. And we've talked about these firms, but And these are all just free plugs, right? You could go to Acorns online and invest like a couple dollars. You can go to Betterment or Wealthfront or Vanguard or Charles Schwab or TD. I mean, all firms today have
Yeah.
the ability to work with a small amount of money, and you can do a completely diversified portfolio with $3,000. So I would say to anybody who's out there who says I only have a couple $1,000s to invest, that's a lot. Like I actually opened up accounts for my kids during the quarantine in March because I wanted them to learn how to invest during the quarantine, and I opened them up both with $2,000 UGMA accounts, kids accounts, and they've been buying stocks. Oh my God, and they're doing so well. I'm like,
Yeah,
they
they had good timing.
they don't realize how lucky they are. But they bought things like Zoom. Like one of my kids bought Zoom at $175 a share, and it's over 500. I'm like, oh, why did I
Oh
buy
my
a bunch of
God.
that? You know. But yeah, you can start with small amounts of money. I started at age 7 buying one stock a share in McDonald's. So
That's awesome.
you could start today with literally just a few bucks and get going.
Hold that thought. I want to get to our takeaways, but first I want to let people in on how I run my business, which started, by the way, as a side hustle when I was still full-time employed. And I met you. I was at Reuters. I had this idea for a book and to talk about financial grown-ups and, learning about money as you become an adult. And I needed a way to keep track of my money. And I learned pretty quickly that it's definitely important to be making the money, but keeping track of that money is literally just as important. And so is, by the way, receivables in your business. Make sure you bill people. To do that, I have been using FreshBooks, like I said, literally since I started the business. It's been awesome. It's super easy. You can invoice your clients. You can even do proposals through it. Even more important, they now have ways to get paid faster. They automate so much. They have reminders for your clients, this and that. I love that it connects to my business bank account. It tracks everything. Taxes this year were super easy. I can also go in at any time and they have all kinds of graphics to see how your business is going. Accounting matters. So check it out. Go to moneywithfriendspodcast.com/FreshBooks and you will get 60% off the first 3 months when you sign up. That's moneywithfriendspodcast.com/FreshBooks for 60% off the first 3 months when you sign up. And by the way, feel free, you guys, you can DM me on Instagram, Bobby Rebel 1, or at Money Friends Pod. If you have questions about FreshBooks, I use it. I love it. It's great. Check it out. David, what is your takeaway from our conversation about having getting more people involved with financial advisors?
First, I would say that if anything we've said has resonated with you and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I could probably use to speak with somebody. I could use a financial planner. Again, I get asked this question all the time. So there's 2 things. One, come over to our website, finishrich.com. I've got a lot of content that we will be putting up continually about how to hire a financial advisor, when to replace a financial advisor, and where to find them. The company we were talking about today is called Facet Wealth. And I realize that if you've never heard that name before, let me spell it to you. It's FACET wealth.com. And that's a company, again, this was a non-paid advertisement. Like, this is just a company that we read about. I spoke to the founder yesterday. They are doing now financial planning for really everyone who needs it at a very low price. And you will always be assured that you're working with a CFP. And that's, again, facetwealth.com. You can go check that out.
And thank you for the plug for CFPs. I am a CFP. I am very proud of it. Big accomplishment for me. Not a lot of journalists go out and get that. I actually just renewed my membership. They have us do continuing education, which is something also really important that that your financial advisor is a fiduciary, as David talked about. And of course, for me, I think being a CFP is also something you can look for. They don't have to be a CFP, but I know as a CFP, we're constantly doing continuing education to stay up to date because a lot of things do change with different political waves and so on. So I love this as a CFP. I think there's all good things that can happen. Getting financial advice more mainstream, throwing it in with corporate benefits raises awareness and makes it more accessible and probably a lot more affordable to more people, a lot less intimidating, right, David? I mean, that's the thing. It's all about being approachable and not scaring people about money.
100%. I mean, as you know, I've written 10 books on personal finance, and yet and people read my books, and then the number one question I still get from people is, are you managing money anymore? Who should I hire as a financial advisor? So even when you go read the books and listen to the podcasts, most people today still want somebody to both help them and watch over it with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can find a good financial planner that you can work with, not just for years, but often for decades, it can be a game changer for your family. I know, having grown up in the financial service industry, my family, we often worked with 3 generations of a family, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
grandmother,
Yeah.
the mother, and the daughter. And so, that's a generational legacy thing that I think just realizing, like, if you find the right financial advisor, and let's just say right now you're in your 50s, you may be actually finding a financial advisor who can also someday help your children. So
Yeah.
it is a big thing to find a good financial advisor, but man, when you find the right one, he or she could be worth their weight in gold for you to change the direction of where your life goes financially, and then also prevent you from making big mistakes. Because sometimes it's just one big mistake that can really hurt you when it comes to your money.
Yeah, I mean, think about if you sold when the market was cratering in March and then didn't get back in immediately or whatever. It just, you could really have lost out on so much that has happened since the spring. Because for all the tragedy that we've had in the world, the stock market's done okay, and it's important that you have that confidence in your ability, that you have somebody with you that can kind of hold your hand sometimes, at least for most of us. I know I've benefited from having a financial advisor, and it is somebody that came to our family through my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is good to have that multi-generational tie and to see kind of a holistic picture. Congratulations again. Before I let you go, Finish Rich is now live. I know you've been working on that for a long time. You're also working on your podcast. Where can people find out more about all of these things and keep up with you? Because you're not going to be back with us for a full month.
Oh, well, please come over to
I
Finish
wish
Rich.
we literally
I know.
cannot. I thought you were
I
going to
wish
tell
you
me
could
come
come
over to
over to
Italy.
Italy.
I'm like,
Come
I
over to
wish I
Italy.
could come to Italy.
I wish you could come
That's
over to
not
Italy too.
happening.
When you can, I will take you out for that espresso we were talking about.
Definitely.
Here's what I would say. Come over to my website, finishrich.com. There are now 60 brand new articles on personal finance that we put up. My podcast, The David Bach Show, is there. So on finishrich.com, free content that can help change your life when it comes to your money. And also get our newsletter, because our newsletter goes out to over 100,000 people every single week. And it is just packed with great content. We're putting out 3 new articles a week in there. And that's right on finishrich.com. And the one thing we didn't even talk about today is our free class for first-time home buyers. We have a course for renters who want to buy their first home, and it's free. And it's right at the top of my website. We've had over 10,000 people go through that class since the last time I talked to you, which was a month ago, and they're loving it. So if you have any interest in going from renting to buying a home, or learning how to go take a home and buy your second home, there's a great course now right at the top of finishrich.com, all free. Free.
Rates are still at historic lows. So now is definitely a good time to buy a home or refinance. But certainly, David and I are both pro home ownership. I know that's a controversial topic, but I do think that it's a great way to invest some of your money and live in just, I think it's nice to own. It's nice to have the lifestyle of being an owner. I don't know. David, thank you so much. Everyone can also learn more about David and the rest of our thought leaders on our website, moneywithfriendspodcast.com. Please follow the show on Instagram and Twitter. You can be part of our polls and questions and get a shout out in the show. At MoneyFriendsPod is the handle on both Instagram and on Twitter. And of course, join us for our live recordings. The best place to do that is on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, just search for Money with Friends and subscribe, and get alerts for when we are live recording with our incredible cast of thought leaders. David, thank you so much. We'll see you in a month.
Bobby, you're welcome. Have a great month. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone. That was great. And thank you to our live audience here on social media. I know we had people chiming in from Facebook, from Twitter. No, I didn't see Twitter. Twitter's hard because Twitter just goes whizzing by. And I forgot. I usually retweet it on my Twitter, and I just forgot. So everyone follow us on Twitter, because we don't have that many Twitter followers. I think we have a few hundred. Twitter's kind of small still. Follow us on Twitter. We need more Twitter people. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll see you guys. I'm not sure when. Joe's going to be back early next week recording. And Joe, by the way, is feeling much better. Thank you, everyone, for your well wishes. Joe's been battling COVID, but he's going to come out strong. So thanks, everyone.
Tell Joe I said hi.